Much everyone for tuning into this edition of WALB News Now. I'm Jamie Worsley. This is actually our first time testing our new digital desk system, so please bear with us as we work through any kinks that there might be, but we wanted to bring you some really important news regarding weather and some damage out of Pelham. Earlier, I actually spoke with the Pelham Superintendent about the downed trees and snapped power lines that actually caused school to be canceled today and a lot of routes around Pelham to be blocked. So let's go ahead and take a listen to what the superintendent had to say about those downed trees and power lines.
We had a very forceful straight line wind in that big thunderstorm last night around 3:30 a.m. And that wind blew over a very big oak tree right here, kind of in front of the Baptist church that went over the light wire, over the electrical wires, and when it did that, it snapped 3 or 4 poles that were connected to that wire. And with that happening, it pretty much knocked out the power in our part of Pelham here. And then we had additional trees, very large trees blown down in and around, our school area. But we're very fortunate that we didn't have any trees down on our school. And best of my knowledge right now, we didn't have any damage to our school buildings. There are numerous trees down in and around town. If there have been any injuries, I'm not aware of any. I know that I was just talking with a district manager for Georgia Power, and he said there's still like over 500 homes without power. So, but they're working here feverishly right now, trying to, looks like to me, undo the power line so that they can come in and actually put in new poles, because the poles were snapped half in two. And then I guess they'll restore the lines back to the poles after they, can get all that done. The removal of the trees has started. Debris cleanup, and they're actually cutting the tops out of the trees now so that the roads are passable. And then the city is, our city cleanup crew is doing that. They're cutting the trees up and removing them. Of course, we have plenty of experience with all that, having experienced Hurricane Michael here a few years ago. We just need to really be thankful for the quick action of our power crews and our city cleanup people, and just be very, very thankful that, best of our knowledge, we didn't have anybody injured from this storm.
So standing by right now, I have Tommy, who is getting ready to show us what we can expect as far as weather for the rest of our afternoon. Tommy, we just saw some pretty extensive damage there in Pelham. Can you walk us through what we can expect today? Is the worst of it over?
Well, the good news is it looks like we did see a majority of that rainfall start moving out. We can even see that on first alert radar here. Now you're getting a background view of what we see behind the scenes here when we're looking at our weather graphics, but you can just see the overall picture shows that first alert radar giving you a drier image of South Georgia at this time as we move into this noon hour. That doesn't mean we're done with rainfall. You can already see what's happening in Florida right now near Tallahassee. More showers developing, and those are eventually going to start moving to South Georgia. Now, here's a closer look at those 24-hour storm reports. So you can see not only Pelham dealt with some storm damage today, but we saw some flooding out there, some hail, some down trees in Lowndes County, Brooks County, a number of different counties here across Southwest Georgia dealt with some of this damage. And we did have that marginal risk that was taking place all throughout portions of yesterday. Now, today, we do have a flash flood watch that is in effect all the way until 2 a.m. on Thursday, so going on into the morning. So flooding could be possible again. We're going to be seeing more opportunities for those downed trees, those power lines. All these things are possible out there. But future radar and clouds continues to push rainfall here into the afternoon and evening, especially those on the east side of I-75. Heavy rainfall, maybe some damaging wind, some flooding possible, and even hail, because we saw plenty of hail reports from this system as we went into our Tuesday, now moving into Wednesday. But if you want more dry time, which we need it here in South Georgia,
Yeah.
tomorrow is going to be the day. But here's a look at what that marginal risk looks like, mainly on our eastern half of the area with damaging wind and hail, and that's going to continue not only we had on Tuesday, but continuing today. And there's that flash flooding rate. Clinch, Echols, and Lowndes County are the main counties that we need to be watching today for that flash flooding.
Sure. And so, Tommy, as you mentioned, we did have reports of hail. We did see, again, trees down not only in Pelham, but also in Valdosta. And so today we are going to be sending Brittany Blake, our reporter there, to some of the damage in Valdosta, as well as collaborating on some team coverage with our sister station, WCTV. They're going to be sending someone to Lowndes County as well. You mentioned that tonight, through the rest of today, we might be looking at a marginal risk. What are the risks that come along with something like a marginal risk warning?
So usually when we have a marginal risk, and especially in this case, it's mainly going to be either one of three things. It's going to be a damaging wind threat, a hail threat, or even as for today, it's a flash flooding threat. Thankfully, the good news for South Georgians is there's no tornado threat today.
Okay, good.
Tornado threats are very low.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean that with any thunderstorm, there could be anything that happens. We've had it happen here multiple times in South Georgia. But today, it looks like the highest threats are going to be flooding, damaging wind, and hail. So those are the things you want to focus on, and those can be just as damaging as anything else.
Right, and so when we talk about damaging winds, is it something that could produce conditions like we just saw out of Pelham with trees down, large trees, oak trees, and power poles being snapped? Is this something we could rinse and repeat for today?
Yes, and I know even we heard a report out of Albany yesterday where it knocked out power at some businesses here just because wind wasn't even in a thunderstorm, just happened to knock down a tree. So those are the kind of things that we will be dealing with for today, and you want to make sure that you're staying alert and aware. Keep that first alert weather handy as much as you possibly can.
Absolutely. And Tommy, can you walk us through again how to stay up to date? Obviously, we have our noon show happening in about 5 minutes, but how else can people get alerts for watches and warnings that may be issued today?
The number one thing, the First Alert Weather app. I know here at WALB, the WALB News 10 app, also whenever there's any breaking news when it comes to storm damage, when it comes to anything, when it comes to tornado warnings, we will be sending out push alerts on there as well. So you can also go to our website. We have a weather page. That weather page will have everything you need to know. It has a live radar. If you can't track it on your phone, you can track it on there as well. So that's a number of different things that we can use here that we provide at WALB, and so you want to make sure that you at least one of those. So go on our website, you can use the news app, or you can use our weather app. They'll all take you to the right place you need to be.
Perfect. Well, Tommy Owens, thank you so much for that very important weather update. Guys, that's going to wrap us up for today's edition of WALB News Now after the storm. Obviously, as I mentioned, we have the newscast coming on at noon in just a few minutes where our First Alert Weather team will be bringing you the latest radar and forecast, as Tommy just mentioned. So with that, thank you for bearing with us as we made it through this first digital update with our new system. We appreciate your patience and your attention. We'll see you back here and we'll see you at the noon newscast in just a moment.